Italy's biggest musical event has come to a close, and with that, we have a new winner and a potential Eurovision song for Italy in 2025. To talk about this year's Sanremo Music Festival, I caught up with my friend Samuele in Italy. He told me all about how Italians have been feeling about this latest edition of the long-running event. This year's Sanremo, a bit different from the ones that we've seen in the past. Obviously, the first one in the last 6 years, I believe, without Amadeus, and with the return of Carlo Conti. Tell me a little bit about how the festival was received this year. What were there different attitudes about the overall songs, overall quality?
From the general audience, I would say that something definitely changed. Like everybody pretty much got that something changed. First of all, the choice of the song was completely an indicator that, of course, the artistic director changed, and also the ideas behind the festival completely shifted. Many people in Italy are also saying, maybe from the older generations, were almost saying that you can almost perceive that a political shift in Rai happened with the new government and stuff. A more conservative festival, a more neutral festival, a festival in which pretty much all the artists were treated equally, without gags, without a moment of interaction between the hosts and the artists themselves. The songs were executed in like 5 minutes, and then we went on with the next one. For many people, were like, okay, we are finishing before. It's great, because last year's, like, it was too long, of course. But the problem is that for many, it felt a little bit impersonal, you know? It was not a bad edition of the festival. We had beautiful and great songs. The problem here, it was a really difficult way of voting. They tried to get it better, but actually it was quite worse. When you have a festival that is polarizing as this one, it is polarizing, but also it has the most important, if not the most famous singers in Italy. The fandoms are a really big problem, because it doesn't win the song, just the artist many times could win. And in this case, I think that even though I like Olly, I think that he won because of his fandom, not because of the song. This festival overall was good in quality, I think, but it lacks something. It lacks energy, lacks personality. Something is lacking.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I felt as if there was a warmth that was brought with through the Amadeus years, and I think that, kind of to what you were talking about, it was in those interactions in between the songs where, yes, like, it might cause the show to run over time, but people were smiling and laughing, and it's not that none of that happened this year, but there's much less of that, I felt.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, also Carlo Conti is really fond of impartiality, 100%. So also, if some of the hosts were saying something about the song, it was like, no, don't say it, because we are talking about a song that is competing,
Right, yeah. You don't want to color the audience's opinion of the song.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a really old-fashioned opinion, because nobody cares about these comments. And they create momentum, they create atmosphere, so I think that the people are just more interested to watch the festival if these things happen.
Do you think that this general perception will be thought about going into the future, and that for 2026, let's say, there might be an attempt to, I don't know, like, find a middle ground between this sort of like efficiency and bringing in the warmth?
I mean, in 2026, it will most probably go to Carlo Conti as well, because he already signed for 2025 and 2026. But he was the one today in a press conference saying that he would opt most surely for just having the artistic directorship and putting someone else in hosting. I would say it is the best for right now that we have for the future of Sanremo, because if Sanremo is like this also next year, I don't see people watching it as much as they watched it this year.
Vorrei tornare a quando ci bastava ridere, piangere, fare l'amore e poi stare.
The winning song is Olly with Balorda Nostalgia. Can you tell us a little bit about the song?
The song is like, it has this kind of really nostalgic element to it, as it in the title suggests, having like its own roots in Olly's life, about living in a really nostalgic city that is Genoa. It is the city from which one of the most important like we call it scuola, like the music panorama, music flow of singer-songwriter were from in the 20th century. I've never been to Genoa actually, but they described it like this, really nostalgic. You can breathe it in the air, this kind of I don't know, like not boredom, more like and now what do I do with my life, you know?
Well,
Something
as
like
someone who has, because I've been to Genoa, I went to Genoa after Eurovision 2022, and that wasn't a thought that I had that like, this place really makes me feel nostalgic for something at the time. But, you know, having that explained to me, I could see how that is, because what struck me about that city was the fact that it has like a little bit of everything, because you have the sea, you have they're not quite mountains, but it can be a bit difficult to navigate because of the elevation and all that. But it's also got a blend of like classical culture and a little bit of modern too. It's got open spaces, but then it's also got, you know, the old city. So it's really kind of like little bits and pieces of easily recognizable cities put into this place that isn't so big that it becomes overwhelming and imposing like a capital city, but it kind of takes you in all these different places. So I don't know, that's my interpretation of Genoa.
When Olly was asked about the song in December during Sanremo Giovani's final, he said that he really is in love with this city, and also he's really in love with the sea. The song is about nostalgia in general, like a past that he loved and would like to come back actually, and it was connected to this kind of nostalgic feeling that he has when he visits his own city and he performs there and he's there and he watches the sunset in his own city. It was just a beautiful thing that I heard from him, connecting his own artistry with his background. That is the most important thing in my opinion.
Throughout the festival, it definitely left an impression. And as you mentioned, like he gave some details about it to the press before it was released. This was also tipped as a favorite to win. And so how do you feel about his victory?
During the week, it was quite clear that it was going to be between some songs, and Olly was always there. Even if it was not one of my favorites, I already knew that it was the possibility for him to win. Honestly, I always watch Sanremo independently of Eurovision, so I always try to vote, and I didn't vote with Eurovision optics. I voted for what I liked, I voted for what I thought it was the worthy winner for a festival that represents Italy, that represents our culture, and has been going on for 75 years. So,
and what song did you vote for?
I voted for Georgia. Honestly.
Oh, okay.
Well, the first night I voted Elodie, but that is my bitchy side speaking. Olly was like 6th or 7th in my ranking, like maybe 5th. But I really like the song. I mean, every single time you listen to it, it grows on you.
It should be mentioned as well that he's still undecided about whether or not he will go to Eurovision. If, let's say, that he were to decline the opportunity to go, I believe it would be offered next to
Lucio Corsi.
Lucio Corsi, okay. Do you see that as a likely outcome?
No. He's gonna say yes. The manager of Olly is the same as Angelina Mango, the same as Marco Mengoni, the same as Maneskin. Well, she knows what she's doing in Eurovision. Olly has a completely sold out tour in May. That is the only reason he said no, because he needs time to understand with his management how to do with that.
Yeah, and I guess that's really tricky too, because there's just so many layers that you have to go through as far as like rebooking the venue. What do you do with the tickets that have already been sold? Do you have to cut down on the size because of the venue availability? So I can imagine that would be a big web to unravel in order to declare Eurovision as like a likely possibility then.
If I were a fan of Olly, I would have been more than glad to let him go to Eurovision, even if I bought a ticket for his concert. Because if you're a true fan, you want to see your idol, your like the singer that you like, the artist that you like to shine. In that case, Eurovision is just the perfect opportunity.
There is also the possibility that if he accepts the invitation to go, he might choose a different song. He was a returnee to this festival, and his first participation was with Polvere, a song that both you and I are big fans of. And I would certainly be in favor of taking something like that. I'm definitely not against him taking Balorda Nostalgia either, because I think it's still like, in comparison to what we have at Eurovision, I think it has potential to easily get into the top 10, if I'm being honest.
He may accept and also change the song. We don't know yet. We don't have any information. Actually, it's the first time since 2016 in which the artist doesn't accept right on. I think that with Mahmoud, the thing happened after, like 2 days after but never like that, like never with this uncertainty.
I do want to talk a little bit about other songs, and then we can wrap up. So you mentioned Georgia. Georgia was the song that you voted for on the night of the final, that is?
All the nights.
Oh, okay. On all the nights. Well, you said you voted for Elodie on one night.
First night I voted for Elodie, and then when I saw that she didn't have any chance, I voted for Georgia.
Okay. Now that we've clarified that, she got a pretty positive response all throughout Sanremo week. I was quite surprised to see that she had just missed out on the top 5, and we once again had a top 5 of only men.
She was thanked by the televote. She was first. Oh yeah.
No. I'm shaking my head in disappointment. That's why.
She was thanked by the televote. She was first with the radio, first with the press in all 5 days. So that meant that she didn't have enough televote to, even if she was put first. The problem is that this year, the press, as I'm telling everybody, the press didn't have a single choice. The press had to give every song to give a vote from 1 to 5.
Right.
So the personal votes influenced the outcome, because with the televote you have a more focused, like more pointed preference, you know. Georgia missed out the top 5 just for the televote and for a little bit.
Tell me about what you liked about her song, because it was another ballad. I mean, maybe this one's a little bit more of a power ballad, but what is it that made you want her to represent your country at Eurovision?
The vocals, the lyrics, and the emotion. I wanted it to win, first of all, because the song that I like the most. She's the voice of the Italian music. Like, she has an incredible voice. I think nobody has in Italy right now has a voice like that. Everybody was like, no, this year is Georgia's time. Also, for that, maybe she didn't win, because everybody was like, oh, of course, she's gonna win, so I don't vote for her. Also, it was a tribute for her own career to make her at least be in the top 5. At least. In fact, everybody was like, no, this is not possible. Like, this is a joke.
Who do you think was shafted the most by the results? Like, who really didn't get what they deserved?
Georgia. Georgia for...
Right, but I'm thinking more, because at least, like, yes, she didn't finish in the top 5, and I think a lot of people felt like that she should have, but I'm thinking more like low part of the scoreboard. Yeah, low.
Well, the girls in general, like Gaia, like Clara, not bottom 5. Like, come on. Then Elodie 12, again. She will never come back to Sanremo again, I think.
Well, what I did notice was in the early comments from the press, there was this attitude, and I heard a few other Italian friends saying it as well, that a lot of the songs seemed to blend together. There were plenty of them that I enjoyed, but I do have to agree a little bit in the sense that it did seem like many of them had a hard time distinguishing themselves from one another. Do you think that was an element in their result?
I don't know. I was really shocked with Sara Toscano being 17th with Amarcord, because she was a contender for last place. I was expecting really more support for Clara, maybe. Or maybe I was expecting a little bit more support in general, because it was a really ballady year.
I know that Sanremo is often, a time of year that you look forward to. Might not have been the kind of Sanremo that you're used to, but how are you coming out of this Sanremo? Do you still feel a bit nostalgic for the week that you just had? Or, I don't know, how are you feeling coming out of this one?
Yeah, I feel always nostalgic when Sanremo ends. Also, during Sunday, usually there is this kind of program that we see on television. It is Domenica special, Sanremo special. It is a variety show during the day usually, but during the Sunday usually it's a tradition to watch it with the family, with friends. So it feels really nostalgic because Sanremo ended, but also you don't want it to end. Out of the top 5 or 6 or 7 that were rumored that could win Sanremo, I didn't see my country achieving less than a top 15. 14 in Eurovision. My objective, honestly, is to just don't break our top 10 streak. But if we do, who cares? I mean, I would never, ever have a national final for Eurovision for my country. Sanremo is perfect for that, because we choose what we like. So we choose what the Italian music scene is about. We don't choose because we want to do well in Eurovision. It is proof that Sanremo has quality, because when we sent something that didn't win Sanremo, we flopped. It has to be an indication. So, and of course, Olly has a beautiful ballad, sentimental ballad, with a really powerful chorus and vocals. He doesn't have a vocal moment, in which he shines. He's not even a perfect vocalist. I mean, he uses autotune, and this is another thing that we need to take into consideration. But I mean, the song is really powerful. It gets you. I think that many people will resonate with that. So I don't see it outside of the top 10, especially in a year like this for Eurovision.
A big thank you goes out to Samuele for joining me for this chat. I hope you enjoyed our conversation as well, and if you'd like to see more videos about this upcoming Eurovision, I'd love if you'd subscribe to the channel so I can have you back. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Balorda nostalgia and if you'd like to see it go to Eurovision. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.